You're listening to Transformation at Work, your one-stop guide to Salesforce success. And this is Salesforce Tech Talks, comprehensive deep dives into the art of solutioning and implementation for Salesforce. Our expert squad of developers, solution architects, and industry veterans are breaking open the black box and digging into the possibilities of solution design and architecture. The show is brought to you by Gerent, a summit-level Salesforce consulting and implementation partner and solutions provider, and I am Jeff Stormer, your host as always. Let's take a moment and break down the auto dealer's toolkit, the essential list of tools that every auto dealer is relying on. First off, you've got the whiteboard. It's got your sales numbers written on it. It's got important trend information on it. If there's a product you're trying to upsell, it's available to everybody in the dealership. That's one. Then every sales rep has their folder, right? It's got the list of cars out there on the lot. It's got contact information for prospective buyers. If there's a few things they need to call out, it's got them listed in there. It's all right at hand. They're flipping through it day to day. That's two. And then, of course, you've got the Post-it note. If you've got people that you need to follow up with, if you've got important things that need to be reminded, you tack a Post-it note on your laptop, you look at it later, you get the reminder, you're on the job. Now, I'm not here to throw shade at any of those tools. Maybe a little, but all of them have a purpose, right? And for a lot of auto dealers, those tools have worked just fine for decades. But, that said, we all know there's a ceiling there, right? Beyond just the physical limitations of those tools, somebody goes to a different location, somebody's out of office for a day. There are only so many things you can write on a whiteboard, there are only so many things that you can put in a folder, there are only so many ways to elevate the car buying experience using these tools. If auto dealers want to move away from a product-centric model towards a customer-centric model, the kind that builds loyalty over time and transforms car buying from a one-time affair to an ongoing experience over years and years, they need new ways to elevate that process, and that means they need effective digital tools to make that a reality. In this installment of Salesforce Tech Talks, we're sitting down with Nikhil Bhatia and Ryan Bjorgaard to virtually unbox Salesforce Automotive Cloud and look at how its built-in features and capabilities, especially when backed by Gerent's Automotive Cloud Accelerator, can help dealers and OEMs place the customer rather than the product at the heart of the car buying experience. Ryan and Nikhil both have years and years of experience that make them the perfect people to talk about this topic. Nikhil having worked his entire career in the automotive space in a variety of roles, and Ryan with over 9 years of in-depth technical experience with Salesforce and digital tools. We begin our conversation at a high level, examining the ways that Salesforce Automotive Cloud enables dealers and OEMs to shift from that product-centric point of view to a customer-centric point of view, and why that is so crucial in a changing market environment. Let's throw it to Nikhil.
From a business point of view, the biggest difference I see is I've never seen a CRM which is so customizable, that is tailored for the industry, which shows us the art of possible, and at the same time, it is something that we are able to see that the customers are appreciating from a point of view that they've never seen something which is catering to processes at every step of the way, every step of the customer journey. And I think that's very exciting at a very high level. And as we go further, I think when we talk to Ryan about any of the business problems we are trying to solve with Salesforce Automotive Cloud, so far all the answers we have gotten is yes. So I think that's a very promising way of looking at what Automotive Cloud is doing. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, the reality is everyone wants to be a customer-centric dealership, but they, in reality, are still like a product-centric group, and they're trying to make that shift. And I think that really, the fact that people recognize because of consumer expectations that they need to make that shift is the reason why they need a product like Automotive Cloud. And the reason, I think, is to go off of what Nikhil said, it is such a customizable solution. So it's really easy to be internally facing as a company, right? And design your processes, the way you interact with your customers around the way you do things internally as a company, rather than to look outward, be outward facing, right? And design the way you do things around the way that your customers expect your company to interact with them. And I think that is the shift that people are trying to make. And I think that is where the value of having a customizable platform as your CRM, you really see that, because what your customer needs They could change day to day. They could change depending on what kind of customer you're dealing with. And you need a way to be able to take everything you know about those customers, segment them into different groups, and then have a CRM or any kind of platform that enables you to execute processes differently depending on what kind of group you're dealing with, while still presenting like a unified business intelligence layer back to the company.
And to add to that, Ryan, I think so far the industry desires to be customer centric, but so far they haven't been able to achieve that because they still live in very siloed systems. They have never been offered the kind of technology that Salesforce has within Automotive Cloud that can solve a lot of their problems. So because so far, if they were even trying to be customer centric, they were doing that with 10 to 15 different systems just in their sales environment. And at the same time, those systems do not talk to each other. So hence, when we talk about concepts like customer lifetime value, omni-channel retail, so those are just desires in the industry still, where we are trying to bring everything under one ecosystem where the data can be actually used to serve our customers better. I have spoken with so many dealers that have lasted for over 40, 50 years. But at the same time, when we talk about customer lifetime value, that's the big black hole for them because, again, they do not have the technology. They have the intent. They have been in the business for over 3 or 4 or 5 decades because they are interested in serving customers. That's what they believe in. But at the same time, technology has never supported them the way we expect technology to work with them with the launch of Automotive Cloud.
And so I think that you hit on a really interesting point there, Nikhil, about the reality of disconnected systems and the difficulty that kind of poses in trying to move towards this customer-centric model of operating. From your kind of experience, I'd be curious to know, what did people, when you were working with dealerships and auto groups, what kind of place did CRM have for you? What was customer relationship management like? And how did it kind of relate to all of these other systems?
I think that's a great question, Ryan. And to spill the beans on this one, I think CRM was never the center of everything that happens at the dealership because user adoption was usually very low for the different brands, different CRMs that I've looked at. And that's primarily because most solutions that we see, they are just out of the box and it is what it is. And nobody ever cared about user experience to the extent that what we are doing here at Salesforce. So I think from that perspective, when we look at what the dealers were doing, yes, the management, the general manager, the dealer principal, having higher CRM adoption and to have visibility over their performance, over metrics on a day-to-day basis is a desire that they've always had. But at the same time, going back to what technology was supporting them with, that was never good enough. And when you have incomplete information, that data is worth nothing for us, right? And when we talk about a lead being received, starting from the first quality response until the point a vehicle is sold or a lead is lost, there is a lot that is happening which is not being recorded. Need analysis is so basic where we're asking, how soon do you want to buy a car? How soon can you come in for a test drive? But when we look at what we have done in Automotive Cloud, we've included over 25 data points for us to work on and for us to capture from the customer. And from talking about historical CRMs, we see most of the information gathered is in the form of text boxes. And text boxes are not actionable, whereas what we are doing in need analysis is we are adding interest tags. So every data point, preferred communication method, primary reason for purchase of the vehicle, etc. And we can go on about this for the next 10 minutes about the functionalities. But that is what is helping us understand or giving the data points to dealer principals, to chief marketing officers at dealerships and dealership groups to act on what their customers are really asking for. And I think that's absolutely magical from what I have seen so far and what the art of possible looks like.
Digging a little deeper, let's look at some of the specific features and capabilities that Automotive Cloud brings to the table that empowers dealers and OEMs to prioritize customer needs and really center the experience of that customer at every stage of their car buying journey. Here's Nikhil.
Core theme that we had in mind when we were working on our Accelerator was to bring in accountability and visibility at every step of the customer journey. So for example, as soon as a test drive is triggered as per Automotive Cloud and it is completed, it triggers a feedback for the customer immediately for the dealership to understand how the experience was. Similarly, at the time of delivery as well, we are following a similar logic for feedback from the customer. And the idea here is that every step of the customer journey, we want to create consistency and accountability. And when we talk about the follow-up process, I think that's a place where a lot of dealers tend to struggle because they are not able to implement consistency in how their sales teams follow up with different leads over a certain period of time. So here, what we have done is we've created a 90-day action plan because according to metrics from Google, JD Power, it takes 80% of leads need more than 5 follow-ups to close. And sometimes those follow-ups spill into the second and the third month since the lead was registered. So what we are doing here is we've created a 90-day follow-up with at least 10 to 15 different follow-up processes, keeping in mind the research that we've put in the industry and from what we have understood being in the industry for the last so many years. That, okay, the first day comes the first quality response. Third day, we send them a video. Fifth day is the value sentiment and so on. There is so much information to be shared. And if that is done in a structured manner, that reduces so much of the work to be done from the sales consultant side. And they have everything ready within the same ecosystem. All they need to do is make a few updates, maybe 20% of things in the email will change, and then they move on and send that to the customer. And the best part about this is that there is actual tracking for the sales manager, for the general manager to see what is the level of follow-ups being done, what is the average number of follow-ups done by a sales consultant over a period of time. And that kind of visibility is something that I have never seen before. And the best part about whatever we have done in terms of the follow-up plan is it's all customizable. If we move from one OEM to the other, we are able to select and edit the follow-up plan, keeping in mind what is top of mind for that particular dealership or OEM.
What I'll say is what I think is really cool about the automotive cloud structure is this idea of modeling customers around this kind of household model. So automotive cloud gives you the ability to use standard Salesforce account modeling to model both kind of a B2B relationship. That's the standard Salesforce thing that most people are familiar with, right? An account represents a business that's involved somehow in your commercial process. But in addition to that kind of model that most people are familiar with, we've also got the ability in automotive cloud now to model your B2C kind of relationships around this kind of household model.
Let's pause for a quick definition check on what we mean when we talk about household management. Here's Nikhil with the breakdown.
So when I talk about household management, I think it provides automotive organizations a very comprehensive view of an entire household's interactions with the brand or dealership, from new purchases, accessories and lifestyle, to your parts, and including your service appointments as well. So what that means is that tomorrow, Jeff, if you bought a car from a dealership and you see that maybe in 6 months or a year, your wife bought a car, then another 2 years, one of your family members bought the car from that dealership. As long as the dealership has the capability of household management, what we have in Automotive Cloud, they will be able to see all of that information under one umbrella, one household, which will be Jeff's household. And what that does is, on one screen, you're able to see everything that is happening from a sales point of view: service, parts, accessories, warranties, service cases, or any kind of repair issues that are ongoing for any of the vehicles that are part of the household.
With that settled, let's throw it back to Ryan.
And so if you're looking at my household, for example, you'd log into Salesforce, you'd see Bjorgard household, you'd see Ryan Bjorgard is related to the Bjorgard household, but also Ryan's wife, Ryan's kids are also related to the same account. And those people may have vehicles of their own. They may have interactions with dealerships within the same group on their own. But being able to bring all that together for anybody who is using that Salesforce org becomes really powerful, because now I can see not only the kind of dealership to Ryan relationship, but the dealership to Ryan and everybody who's related to Ryan kind of model. And so you can think test drives can be seen across that way. Service interactions, dealership visits, opportunities, so interest in any particular vehicles. Even if you're talking about a dealership group scenario, if my wife takes a test drive at another dealership that's within the same dealership group, and then I come into a different dealership within the same group, you can see that together. You can start to pull the features that maybe my wife was asking for, that maybe I was asking for different features across that. Maybe my wife's, talking about getting a minivan. Maybe I'm talking about getting a sports car kind of a thing. You can see those things roll up to the same account, and you can start to build a visualization around who we actually dealing with as people. you can learn a lot about people, right? From the different interactions they have, but it's always been a challenge to communicate what you know across different groups, across different people within the same group, but even more so, right, across different groups. And the ability to start capturing that and giving shared visibility across different dealerships, I think that is one of the most powerful things about implementing Automotive Cloud.
And just to add to that, I think the use case here would be the output looks like we have customer lifetime value. That's the success we are looking for, where we would know across sales, service, after sales, or any kind of parts and accessories. That will be all under one account, which is the household of the Björgard family, which is something that I have never seen before from the many CRMs that I've used so far.
Now that provides a pretty good picture of what Automotive Cloud brings to the table, but the question of how to bring that to the table is still a pretty large one for a lot of dealers and OEMs. Here's Nikhil and Ryan on how Gerent's Automotive Cloud Accelerator helps to remove some of those roadblocks associated with implementation and allows dealers and OEMs to unlock some of those features and capabilities and realize that value as quickly as possible.
So the number one thing being, we are a very highly customizable solution, and we have kept in mind the industry trends, the pain points that the dealers and the OEMs are facing. So that has been top of mind for us when we talk about Automotive Cloud and our Accelerator. When we look at what separates us from a lot of other companies is we are able to do desking within our Accelerator, which is, I think, top of mind for most dealers and conglomerates that we have been talking with, and we have received some exceptional feedback from our customers as well. Of course, developing a product, I thought that it's going to be a start and stop to it, but it's an ongoing process. We are adding functionalities on a weekly and a monthly basis, and we are learning so much more as a result of the demos we are providing to our customers. And when we look at our Accelerator as well, I think one thing that really stands out for me is that the customizations we have spoken about at length, about follow-ups, about being able to capture feedback, all of that are all custom objects. And when you look at the kind of dashboards that we have seen in other CRMs. So we are using the power of CRM analytics in the Salesforce ecosystem to deliver something which is best in class, that provides all the pieces of data and metrics that a dealer, principal, or a general manager or a sales manager would want to see. And those are all actionable pieces of information. And we have created a dashboard with more than 30 or 40 data points that is all under one roof on one screen that we can action upon and at the same time create meaningful insights out of it.
I think anytime you talk to any organization about a Salesforce implementation, right? Or like about any kind of digital transformation in general, the thing that they're always concerned about is time to value, right? How long is this implementation going to take? How long is it going to be until my team sees the value out of implementing this software? So the benefit to building an accelerator and then using that to kickstart an implementation is going to be that in our accelerator, we've pre-built everything you need to execute a basic sales process for what we consider best practice for dealerships or dealership groups. And then we've created the business intelligence layer to draw the kind of insights based on Nikhil's past and industry knowledge that we think dealerships and dealership groups would like to get from their data. So the structure to capture the data to facilitate the sales process is built out already. And then the business intelligence layer that gives you the insights that you'd want to get from the data is pre-built already. And so the advantage of having an accelerator is you're able to install all of that stuff on day one. And then the implementation doesn't become about, let's talk about building out your Salesforce from step one, becomes, let's install our accelerator as a baseline. Let's show you what you get out of the box. And now the implementation is about, let's tweak it to specifically the way your business does things instead. So you're cutting that time to value like right in half and letting you start off from a place of, hey, we can envision what this looks like out of the box and we can start seeing the value right away.
And to add to that, Ryan, I think when I put the hat of a dealer, when we talk to them about Salesforce Automotive Cloud, that's a solution they've never seen before. Automotive Cloud, which just launched on October 17th. So that means when they are chatting with us, they are directly seeing what the output of the product can look like. And of course, customizations can continue. But at the same time, rather than knowing about a tech from looking at a bunch of product guides, they are actually seeing the demo in action. They are seeing the product doing what they always wanted to see. So I think from that perspective, rather than art of possible, we are showing them the reality as of today, which I think is something which is top of mind for a lot of the stakeholders we are chatting with.
So let's put the pieces together and explore what it really looks like when dealers and OEMs are able to use the right technology, quickly deployed and tailored to the specific needs of their businesses to center that customer experience at every stage of their journey. For that, let's throw it over to Ryan.
I think Nikhil brought up a really interesting point with this idea in the current state of everything being stored as kind of unstructured data. So Nikhil mentioned in his past, when you would do something like a needs analysis process, it'd be very unstructured. That way of capturing data makes it very hard to use that data in relation to anything else, right? Because, like Jeff, you could be trying to sell me a car. You could ask me like, what kind of features do you want? And you can write down, he wants leather interior, he wants black exterior, convertible rooftop, something like that. Somebody else could go to Nikhil and he can say, and he might type in, black BLK exterior. If you guys both work for the same dealership, how does that dealership know based on that, on the way you guys entered it, that two different people are looking for the same feature in a vehicle? They don't, right? Because BLK doesn't equal black, or you might spell it wrong, or you might use capitals depending on how sophisticated your system is about parsing through those things. When you start to move to a system like Salesforce, an automotive cloud, one of the key things we're doing here is giving you a way to structure your data and a way for users to capture that data in a structured manner so that you can add on the business intelligence layer on top of that and allow the dealership to draw insights like how many people are interested in specific vehicles, in specific features on specific vehicles, in specific features on specific vehicles, in specific segmentations. And so we bring in this idea of creating these driver profiles. So what kind of attributes do people have in common who we're interested in rather the same kind of vehicle or the same kind of feature set with specific vehicles. And to be able to pull all of that intelligence out of your just day-to-day process without making it arduous for the salesperson who's actually executing this deal, that to me is really powerful and really game-changing.
Yeah, that's a great explanation, Ryan. And when I look at the future state of what the art of possible looks like, if a dealer receives 1,000 leads over a period of, let's say, 6 months. So for that 1,000 leads, they've understood the top 10 features that out of the 1,000 leads and opportunities they received, what was top of mind for the customer. That helps them forecast what vehicles to order. What is the seasonality of, SUVs compared to sedans? What colors are more prevalent in their geographical area? And at the same time, being able to action on them is something that is definitely going to be game changing from a marketing point of view as well, because we'll be marketing the right products to a customer instead of sending an SUV ad to a customer who's actually looking for a sedan. So I think that's going to be very meaningful as we progress further in this journey.
Yeah. And now we're talking about being customer centric, right? Because everything that Nikhil has just said, right, is being driven by what do we know about what our customer wants instead of what do we know is there? Let's just, SUV, that looks good this year. Or we know like general trends, but general trends fall out of date really quickly. Capturing data from the customer who's actually sitting in your dealership. Now we're really kind of able to shift and model our business around the customers who are actually sitting in front of us, interacting with us and doing business with us.
Look, it's easy to recognize the value in building personal relationships, meeting customers where they are, and treating people like people. But when dealing with the car buying process, in which interactions are so few and far between and so high stakes when they do happen, dealers and OEMs often lack that ability to make those things a reality. So when an interaction comes up, they fall back on the data that they have, which is the product. But those dealers and OEMs that have the right digital tools in place to collect, store, study, leverage that customer data at every step of the journey Those are the dealers and OEMs that can center the customer in their point of view and build those lasting relationships over time. And that is how you build a better car buying experience. This has been Transformation at Work. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you again to Nikhil and Ryan for your wonderful insights on this episode. Transformation at Work is, as always, produced by Gerent in collaboration with Salesforce. I am Jeff Stormer, your host and producer. If you enjoyed the show, consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, sharing the episode with your LinkedIn followers, or heading to gerent.com to sign up for email updates whenever we drop a new episode. Until next time, thank you again for listening, and we hope to see you again soon.